The night before my wedding, I caught my fiancé in bed with another woman. And the worst part? The woman was supposed to be my bridesmaid.
Yeah.
Imagine walking in, holding your wedding dress for final fittings, only to find your fiancé and your best friend tangled in sheets like you didn't exist. That moment felt like my whole life cracked in half. I'm Lila, I'm 28, and I had spent months planning that wedding. The flowers, the cake, the guest list, the songs for the reception, every single detail was ready. Everyone was flying in, my family was buzzing with excitement, and I was about to marry the man I thought I would spend forever with. His name was John. He wasn't perfect, but he was mine, or at least I thought so. The day started normal enough. I went to pick up my dress, and I decided to surprise him by showing up at the hotel where he and his groomsmen were staying. I thought it'd be sweet, maybe even a little flirty, one last kiss before the big day. Instead, I walked into the room and froze. My fiancé and my so-called best friend, Amy, didn't even hear me at first. They were too busy betraying me. The sound I made when the dress slipped from my hands must have startled them, because they both turned around, their faces pale. Amy tried to cover herself, stuttering my name, but I didn't hear a word. My ears were buzzing. My chest felt like it was collapsing. John's mouth opened, but no excuse could make sense of what I had just seen. I stormed out before either of them could say anything else. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even cry yet. My whole body went numb, and all I could think was, this can't be real. This isn't happening to me. By the time I got back to my parents' house, my hands were shaking so badly, I dropped my keys twice. My mom saw my face and knew something was wrong immediately. I didn't even have the words, I just blurted it out. And then it hit me all at once. The sobbing, the rage, the humiliation. How could I tell my guests? How could I face everyone tomorrow? My father was ready to storm to the hotel and drag John out by the neck, but I stopped him. I didn't want a scandal, not yet. I wanted to think. I needed to think. But my wedding was less than 24 hours away, and I had no idea what to do. I sat in my room that night, staring at my veil hanging on the chair, and I felt like the universe was mocking me. All those years of loyalty, of building a life together, and this is how he repaid me. With betrayal so disgusting, I could barely say it out loud. The truth is, a small part of me wasn't even surprised. John had always been a little too close to Amy. Little inside jokes, side conversations, moments that made me raise my eyebrows. I brushed it off, because I trusted him. And because I wanted to believe my best friend could never do that to me. But here we were. They had crossed the line, and now my entire future was falling apart. That night, I barely slept. My phone buzzed with texts from John, all begging me to talk. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Please don't ruin tomorrow. Ruin tomorrow? As if he hadn't already set fire to everything we had. Morning came, and instead of excitement, I felt dread. Guests were already arriving, my relatives were calling, asking about seating arrangements and schedules. No one knew the truth yet. And that's when something in me shifted. I realized I didn't want to hide. I didn't want to cry in my room while my guests sat waiting for a wedding that would never happen. I wanted to show John exactly what kind of woman he had underestimated. By the way, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'd really love to know. So, I put on my dress. Yes, the same dress I had been holding when I found them. I slipped it on, zipped it up, and looked in the mirror. And instead of feeling like a broken bride, I felt something else. Power. I wasn't going to let him humiliate me. If John wanted to play games with my heart, then I was about to play one back. And that's when I saw his brother, Mark, standing at the end of the hallway. He looked at me with something I hadn't seen in John's eyes for a long time. Respect.
Care.
And in that second, an idea crossed my mind that changed everything. Because if John thought I would crumble, he was about to learn just how wrong he was. I stood there in my dress, my heart pounding, and Mark didn't look away. He just said quietly, "You don't deserve what John did to you." His words hit harder than he probably knew. In that moment, something inside me clicked. I wasn't going to beg John for answers. I wasn't going to let Amy's betrayal break me. I was going to rewrite the story, my story on my terms. The ceremony was just hours away. Guests were arriving at the church, completely unaware of the mess behind the scenes. My phone kept lighting up with John's name, but I ignored it. Instead, I walked up to Mark. I don't know where the courage came from, but I whispered, "Would you help me?" His brows furrowed, but he didn't hesitate. He nodded. "Anything." I leaned closer, my voice shaking but steady enough to mean it. "Stand with me. Walk with me. Marry me instead." I swear his eyes widened, but he didn't laugh. He didn't treat it like some crazy outburst. He just studied my face, as if he was trying to see if I really meant it. And I did. I wasn't about to be the broken bride everyone pitied. I wanted John to feel the humiliation he had handed me. Mark finally whispered back, "If that's what you want, I'll do it." Can you believe that? Because I almost couldn't. But it was real. It was happening. When I arrived at the church, whispers followed me. People gasped at how radiant I looked, but no one knew what had gone down. My father walked me down the aisle, steadying me with every step. My stomach churned, not with nerves about marriage, but with anticipation. And then came the moment everyone was waiting for. John stood there, pale, his tie slightly crooked. He looked nervous, but not in the way grooms usually do. His eyes darted, searching for mine, maybe expecting forgiveness or at least a chance to explain. But when I reached the altar, I didn't stop in front of him. I kept walking straight to Mark. The crowd gasped so loud it echoed through the church. John's face drained of color. Amy, sitting smugly near the front, looked like she had swallowed a lemon. And me? I had never felt stronger. The priest stammered, clearly confused. Lila, are you? I held Mark's hand and raised my chin.
Yes.
I'm marrying him, not John. Chaos erupted. My mother clutched her pearls, my father's eyes widened, and guests murmured in disbelief. John stepped forward, his voice cracking. Lila, what the hell are you doing? I turned to him, my voice calm, almost icy. I'm doing what you taught me. Not settling for a liar. Not wasting my vows on a man who couldn't even stay faithful the night before our wedding. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Amy tried to stand, probably to defend herself, but the glares from the guests pinned her back into her seat. Everyone knew now. Everyone saw them for what they were. And then, before anyone else could object, Mark squeezed my hand and nodded to the priest. Let's continue. It felt like the boldest, craziest, most liberating thing I had ever done. And the vows, those words I thought I would speak to John, suddenly felt real with Mark. Because unlike John, Mark had stood by me when everything fell apart. He had nothing to gain, but he chose to stand in the fire with me anyway. When the priest pronounced us husband and wife, the church was dead silent for a moment. Then my family started clapping, and slowly the sound spread. Not everyone approved, I could tell, but I didn't care. I wasn't living for approval anymore. John stormed out, Amy chasing after him. I didn't watch them go.
I didn't need to.
That part of my life was over. Walking out of the church with Mark by my side, I felt free. Free from betrayal. Free from the weight of pretending. And for the first time in days, I actually smiled. The reception wasn't what I had originally planned, but it turned into something unforgettable. People toasted not to what was lost, but to what I had gained. Courage, self-respect, and a man who valued me enough to stand up when I needed it most. Looking back, I know some people thought I was crazy. Maybe I was. But I'd rather be crazy and bold than broken and silent. So here I am, months later, still married to Mark.
And you know what?
He treats me better than John ever did. Sometimes life burns down everything you built, just so you can find something better in the ashes.